Hey everybody, how are you? How does it sound? Tell me how it sounds. Hopefully I'm not blowing people out. Dr. Godine himself, Michael, Jeff, how are you everybody? What should I play? I'm playing with a new microphone today. You can see it. It's an Aston Origin. It is thanks to Craig. I don't think Craig is watching today, but Craig's been a patron for a long time. He's a great friend, and he's incredibly generous. He sent me this microphone just because he found a good deal on it. And yeah, it was kind of a cool full circle. He learned some guitar hunting tricks, and he's used them. And so anyway, it sounds really resonant. That's great. So this microphone makes everything sound wonderful and amazing and gives a ton of like lush low end and bass. And it's awesome. It's I'm super excited to have it and to see what else it'll do. Oh man, Elliots making gumbo. That's awesome. Yeah. Don't burn a roux. That's the worst, man. Because it's like, there's no saving it. There's no bringing back a toasty, bitter roux. But if you get it right, that's awesome. I didn't know. Are you a Louisiana man? That's awesome. My wife, we have two versions of gumbo that we make. Because my wife is like proper old school. But she's like old school, like Italian, Catholic, French, or Italian, that kind of gumbo, which doesn't use a roux. But then there's other parts of the family that are like French, still Catholic. But for them, it's all roux-based gumbo. Yeah, Jeff, you can send some gumbo that way. Hey, Tom's here. Hey, Tom, how are you, buddy? Hey, we're going to talk about... Oh, there's something in here I was going to talk about with you. Oh, I know what it was. We're talking about the D17s. But, yeah, go make some gumbo. That's awesome. Jambalaya is kind of my go-to. It's so fun and so easy to make. And it's delicious. It's really good. Married into a New Orleans family. What? Our recipe has no bell peppers? Okay. Well, you don't have to in a gumbo. I feel like gumbo without okra is probably a little more sacrilegious. But the mirepoix kind of calls for the Holy Trinity. But that's awesome. I didn't know you married into a New Orleans family. So did I. Do you ever just play... Like, I've been playing guitar for like 20 years, and I just hit a chord, and like, that's not a chord. Like, but my brain just... But Jansen says, us Northwesterners don't know what gumbo is. Fancy soup with kind of gravy mixed in. Man, this guitar, this is like, and we're going to talk about this. This is one of the guitars that is on my list of one of my favorite guitars of this year. Unsuspecting, but it's just so weird and cool. So anyway, let me grab, I'm going to grab my LaCroix. I'll put this guitar back. And then let's hang out. So I'm glad everybody's here. Tom, Elliot, Michael, Craig sent me that microphone. I think I've covered everything. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of guitars today. But first, I have to get this. How does the audio sound? Is it... I've been going back and forth all week with the Rhett Shull is here. Hey, buddy. How are you? Rhett, I want to come to Atlanta and hang out. I've been meaning to. Sorry, that's probably loud. But anyway, yeah, it's a good Friday afternoon here. I'm starting to kind of wrap up for the year. This is kind of the last thing I'm doing. I have a couple sneaky things that I don't think will go out next week. I'll be in Nashville basically the next 2 weeks. Doing some really fun stuff that I can't talk about until 2022. But yeah, it's good. So, I've got some really exciting ideas for next year where I'm going to take the channel and kind of head, because I'm now like we're doing it. I'm making it. This is now my full-time gig, and I'm taking care of my family with it, which is incredible. And you guys and gals and Sonia and like all you, everyone, you are responsible for that, and it's amazing. So, yeah, I'm glad that everybody's here. Glad Rhett's here. That's super fun. Rhett, I've been slacking on the Dipped in Tone podcast. Because for a while it was like working while I was editing and I could just kind of have it running. But I've just been working like a maniac. And what I've been working on is this. I have been building out... Oh, can I do it? Am I wearing the same shirt? I'm wearing a different shirt. Yeah. Oh, here's the dumb content you signed up for. But I've been working on Write Guitars Faster, which is an amazing course. It is 19 videos. It's about 6 hours. You could do it in a day if you took the whole day. That would be a lot. But you can do it over a couple days. I've had a bunch of people do it so far. And it is just a really cool tool to help you find the right guitars. And then also how to deal with the fact that we're going to buy the wrong guitars. And how to get the most money back out of those guitars through photography and writing compelling sales descriptions. And then gaining momentum so that you build a cool guitar collection. So this is incredibly cool. There's a link in the description down below. It's guitar-hunter.teachable.com. Rhett has been a great friend through this whole process, and I've picked his brain along the way of like, hey, how do I actually launch this thing, and how do I film some of it? And so yeah, check it out. It's an amazing way that you can just grow and develop your skill set. Also, if you have some downtime, a lot of us are going to have some downtime between Christmas and New Year's. This could be a really good thing if you have just a little bit of bandwidth that will absolutely set you up by the time you're doing your goal setting for 2022. If you say, I want to start building a collection that I'm proud of and I'm excited about and works really well for me, this would be awesome for you. So please check that out. That would be awesome. And when you do that, that is a direct line to helping support my family and just the life of Guitar Hunter. You get to pay. Dylan's going to be in the first video that Dylan's been in, my editor. We did a studio tour video. Actually, I have to finish editing it after I do this live show, and it'll be out maybe tomorrow, maybe Monday. We're under the gun a little bit on some sponsorship stuff from Sweetwater on that one. So, anyway, it's been an amazing little bit. Oh, Red says you've been slacking too. That's okay, I mean, dude. I know you and I have talked about this. Like, I have never worked harder at anything in my life than YouTube. It is so impossibly difficult because you're like always adding energy to things that are like 2 days out, a week out, 6 months out, 5 years out. So like you're always trying to keep stuff coming in the hopper, but then you're also trying to not get lost in the details. And so it's a lot. So I now have a personal assistant working a couple hours a week, and she's amazing and she's super helpful. And so anyway, all of the details of my life and business of YouTube stuff has gotten a lot tighter, especially like shipping. Stuff is getting out really quick instead of taking a couple days like it has been. Mike, this is a great question. Mike says, have I ever played an ATKIN? Had the privilege a few weeks ago, and rarely does a guitar blow me away when I first pick it up and play. I played an ATKIN at Carter Vintage a couple months ago, and it's really cool. I don't think it fit into that video actually, but it's a great guitar. They're kind of Martin style guitars. They're made in the UK. They're really wonderful. Tom says, halfway through the course, excellent so far. Should finish this weekend. That's amazing. That's awesome. I'm so glad. Also, that reminds me, we have a giveaway today. So at the end of this, we're going to be giving one session of the course away for free. Someone bought the course and said, give it to someone who needs it. And so, yeah, we'll do that. So my only obstacle to buying the right guitar is money. That's true. But I will teach you how to snowball. Like you can buy and sell and buy and sell and buy and sell and snowball money to where you only have a couple $100 of your own money in it, but you can get to a couple grand. I'll teach you how to do that. That's one of the things I cover in the course. Because, dude, I'm with you. I have 3 little kids. I have 3 little kids and a mortgage, and I don't get to pay retail for stuff. I just don't have that bandwidth or that extra money. So for me, it's like the only way that any of this stuff gets to live with me is using the stuff that I teach and Write Guitars Faster. That's awesome. Caleb says, I just ordered from Sweetwater and I'm amazed how fast it shipped. Dude, It is insane. Like, I'll get guitars that they'll ship me and they come from Indiana. They'll get here the next day. They'll get here in like about the same amount of time that if someone got in a car and drove it from there to here. It just blows my mind. JC says he's been dancing for ones. Sonia, hey, how are you? I'm glad you're here. Yeah, we're just kind of catching up and talking about the class. And cool. So I looked through this year, and I went 365 days because there's a couple guitars. No, these are all in January. By the time that these are showing up, this is where you could be. You could be buying and selling guitars and finding cool stuff, and then letting certain things kind of enter into your circle here. Over the next year. So let's dig in. So the first thing I wanted to talk about, well, first, before I dig in, I do want to talk about, since we're talking about Sweetwater, I have a shop through Sweetwater. And with Sweetwater, if you go to the link in the description below to my shop, anything you get from Sweetwater, I get a small commission for. And this is actually becoming a pretty good, they're very generous to content creators. And so that's really helpful because I mean, like Rhett and I spend most of our time making YouTube videos that we give away for free. And so it's kind of a crazy business model when you're like, I am working 50 to 60 hours a week, and I'm 40% of that time, 50% of that time, I'm working on a thing that I give away absolutely for free. And yeah, you make some ad revenue, but it's not a ton of money. So anyway, when you use those links, for the Sweetwater stuff and all that stuff down below. Also, I put out two videos this week that were just kind of testing the waters on some gift guide ideas. So some acoustic guitar gift guides and some electric guitar stuff. Those videos haven't done very well. I didn't expect them to, but I think for the people, because also all the keywords are targeted at people outside of our normal circle. This is like people that are like office party guitar player. Like, I'm just trying to give tools to people that are way outside of the world that we normally see and interact with. But anyway, cool. So I went through all of this last year, and I kind of looked through the guitars that I'd bought and sold, and I just went back and like, what are the ones that I just love and that were just so cool to have? And like the absolute number one that I have to talk about is the Martin D17 that I bought in Ocean Springs, Gulfport, in Gulfport, Mississippi. I bought this in early January. It was so cold. This was nuts. I bought this guitar the day before that crazy storm went through Texas and took out the power, and then took out a bunch of power in Louisiana as well. And so the last like 48 hours we were in Louisiana during that trip. I just bought this guitar, but I didn't really get to play it in any videos because the heat went out. There was no firewood. I was chopping trees down with my father-in-law, making firewood, keeping our kids warm. And then all the gas sold out at all the gas stations close by, so we couldn't even... I had to like get enough gas from little gas stations here and there to get our truck out. And if I could get to like Birmingham, like 5 hours from where we were in Louisiana. But this D17 is awesome. Do you guys remember this? This is the guitar that got me banned from Martin's Instagram for a long time, which is a funny and ridiculous story in itself. So, Michael, that's not helpful. I read that Harrisonburg is up and coming. Crime, that is. Whatever. It's fine. One of my dearest and oldest friends is a police officer here in town, and has said opposite. It's a good place to be. There's a huge... So Harrisonburg is a relocation site for the UN and for the FBI. It's people that have worked... So like when I was in high school... Yeah, in high school there were lots of Afghani and Iraqi families that started moving to the U.S. When I was in elementary school, there's lots of people in the Eastern Bloc that had worked with the U.S. in like as the Eastern Bloc fell. So there's a huge amount of Russian. So even around now, like it's funny. It's like this tiny little like Appalachian town. It's not that tiny. It's like 60, 70,000 people. But you come to Harrisonburg and like when I go to the gym in particular, everyone speaks Russian. Like no one's speaking English. It's like Russian, and then there's some Spanish here and there. There's lots of Arabic as well. Anyway, it's a cool place to be. But the Martin D17 was awesome. This is such a cool guitar. Now this is a proper D17. It doesn't actually have a dovetail joint neck, but it's a full-on actual mahogany neck or mahogany top. And this guitar is just so cool. And I got this for $1,000. Let me see. I think I put that in here. I'll come back here to some questions after this. But with this guitar, I paid $1,000 and I sold it for $1,800. And this guitar, I just looked around. I love this guitar. I wish I could have kept it, but it sounds pretty similar to my Husson Dalton, the one right back here, to my Husson Dalton TDM, and it's somewhat similar. You can't see it because this is up to my Waterloo over there. But to me, I was like, it's such a cool guitar, but I just can't quite hang on to it. But it was an amazing guitar, and I got that one in Louisiana, and then came back here, played it for a couple months, made some videos. That's where Tom, who's in the chat, Tom let me borrow 2 of his Martins, and we did a video all about this one. And with this, it was just so cool comparing like a full mahogany top, back, and sides to the new 17, which Martin has been selling for probably 10 years now, but it's basically a 16 with a shade top because it's mortise and tenon joint neck, micarta bridge, micarta fingerboard, and all of that. It has a spruce top that's just stained dark. So anyway, if you talk about that too publicly, Martin will block you on Instagram. That's what happened to me for a couple of years. I had to like make a second account just so I could see what Martin was posting. Yeah, let me turn this off. Looks like there's a couple comments. J Hill, yo, toe. Samuel says, hey man, greetings from Belgium. Hey buddy, have I seen the Get Back documentary? Lots of people talking about it recently. Thoughts? I watched the first little bit and I didn't know what to expect, but it had way less structure or story rather than just kind of like being a camera on in the room. It was very cool. The coolest thing, and I don't know if Rhett's still in here, but the thing for me that struck me was I have seen all of those amps, like the Voxes and the Bassmans and all the Fender Blackface stuff. I've seen all of that, but by the time I saw it, I was born, 20 years after that stuff was made, or 25 years after that stuff was made. So by the time I was in my teenage years, into my early 20s when I was working in a guitar shop, by the time I saw that stuff, it was all old. And it is cool to see some of the reissues, I've got my Tone Master Deluxe back here. It looks like a deluxe reverb. But what's so cool in Get Back was to see gear that I know as like old and pitted and the Tolex is torn. To see them when they're new is so cool. Because when was that? That was like 67, 69. It was really cool. I didn't grow up with the Beatles. My dad loves the Eagles, Jimmy Buffett, Steppenwolf, Peter Gabriel. He's in the 80s. He's a little older. Anyway, he should have liked all the 70s stuff. But anyway, I didn't grow up with the Beatles. I didn't grow up with Led Zeppelin. So I don't know. I maybe I was born a little behind on that. But yeah, Rhett says definitely cool to see the gear as new. Dude, it was so cool, especially to see things that like you just that aren't reissued. But anyway, it was a trip. My wife was making fun of me because I was nerding out about the gear. And it's super cool to hear the conversations and stuff. And I need to maybe watch more of it because it felt a little too like, oh, there's just a camera running in the room and we just captured this stuff. There isn't as much of a story as I thought there would be. But Jeff says, I'm a huge Beatles fan. Won't watch it because it will ruin my memories as a young lad. That's probably good. That's interesting. Yeah, that's cool perspective. It would change. That's why I've been really hesitant. I've only listened through Barn by Neil Young once so far. And my wife was like, oh, it's even more sad and even more whiny. She's not a huge Neil Young fan. But as I trace back over the last year, another guitar that I had that I thought was so cool was this Gibson J15, which I think it's the best. Like, that's the best Gibson under a couple grand for the acoustics that I've found. Like, it's as cool and as good as a J45. It's a weird mix. It's like somewhere between a J185 and a J45 because it's the maple neck, walnut back and sides. It's a little strange as far as its composition. The headstock is a little smaller, so it looks a little funky. It kind of reminds me of those Canadian-made Gibsons for a couple years in the mid 2000s. But I paid $900 for this one, and I sold it like 3 weeks later for a $400 profit at $1,300. This is a really, really cool guitar. This is what I wish the G45 would be. I think the G45 could be such a thing, but it misses the mark in some ways. It's just so value. I'm gonna do a video with the dudes from Driftwood Guitars. We had kind of nailed down a cool concept for a video that kind of covers firmly the overlap of our passions and nerdery. And it kind of is around a bunch of things that are used on the G45. So that'll be a cool video to do. But anyway, J15 is awesome. I sold it to my friend Tristan. It is so cool. It's here in town, which I always love when I get to sell guitars locally. Because I feel like probably most of us, like, I live in a town that has a pretty nominal music scene. Like, there are a couple bars you can play in, but it's not really, like, there aren't any big churches around here. There aren't any big music venues. Maybe if you go like an hour over the mountains into Charlottesville, if you go 2 hours to DC, you could, but like locally it's pretty normal. So I always love when I get to sell cool guitars, like full on American made, all solid, good guitars locally. Another guitar that came into my life this year that I just think is so cool, and I was playing it at the beginning, is the Taylor AD17. Ow. I have like a sore in my mouth. I just bit it. I'm sorry. That's gross. But the Taylor AD17e, this is a really, really cool guitar. I love the black top on this thing. I love it's eucalyptus bridge and fingerboard, which I've never seen that. Has oven call on the back and sides. I have to grab this guitar. I have to show you how cool the back and sides on this one are. And this was the first guitar I got using Sweetwater's what's it called, the guitar gallery, where you get to see. And so with this, like, all the guitars are about the same, and I just thought, like, well, there's 4 of them available. One of them is 6 ounces lighter probably sounds better. I don't know if that's true, but I was like, I'll just take the lighter one. And then I flipped through and I looked at like the back and sides, and the grain on this was just absolutely the coolest. And so that's why I went with this one, and I haven't regretted it. It just sounds amazing. It's light, and it doesn't... I'll play it, and you tell me what you hear. Oh, what should I play? Yeah, so talking more about, still talking about Get Back. But yeah, with this guitar, man, this thing is just, it's fun and cool. And I feel like it looks, I gotta put on this knee, huh? So there are a couple things that are super interesting to me about this guitar, and I still haven't dug into it in the depth that I meant to. I haven't sawed it in half yet. Not gonna do that. I'll let Chris do that. But with this one, I do want to make a video comparing this, because it's so similar. It's an American-made guitar. It's a round-shouldered dreadnought, has a spruce top, has oven call instead of walnut back and sides, but I bet walnut and oven call are pretty similar. I have to ask some woodworking friends. But I think that this guitar is very similar in specs to the Gibson G45, but this is a much better guitar. It just is cool, and it feels... So it looks and feels like a Gibson, but it sounds iconically like a Taylor. Like, this guitar to me just sounds like this sounds like 90s and early 2000s, like Vertical Horizon and bands like it just sounds like a time capsule from the 90s and 2000s, which I have a suspicion that that kind of guitar is going to shoot up in value. Like, remember that if you're trying to figure out what guitars are worth the most next, the 25-year rule for me works every single time. That's why a couple years ago I started buying up as many shreddy, locking trim, neon color guitars as I could, because I knew that those were going to be worth a lot more here soon, and they definitely were. I made a bunch of money on like Hamers, Kramers, BC Rich, all the crazy funky ones that I could find. And yeah. Let's see. Let me turn off some of these. I'm using StreamYard. I'm probably using it not the way that they intended. But Tom says George Harrison was a uke nut. There's a great Tom Petty YouTube video talking about George Harrison show up at his place with extra ukes in his trunk. That's awesome. I worked for a uke nut. The guy that I worked for had the largest collection of ukuleles in the U.S. Tom, we haven't talked too much about this, but he had thousands and thousands of ukuleles. They were everywhere. And he didn't really sell them. Like, he'd buy and sell all the guitars around. But anyway. Oh, this is awesome. Jansen's best buys of 2021 were the 1950 Gibson LG2 and a 1934 0017. That 00 is awesome. It's so tidy. Somebody else sent me one. Somebody on Facebook Messenger sent me one last night that they found in Pennsylvania. It was a 1931 or 32 an 018. It was amazing, and it wasn't an H. It was just a real one. And that was so cool. But, anyway. Let's boogie through these. I want to hear more of yours. Tell me more, as we go through these, tell me more of, like, how was your year? What was the best guitar you found? What's the worst guitar you found? Or what are the guitars that you're like, oh, they're okay. I just need to move them so I can gain momentum to build a cool guitar collection to get something that's more like what I'm dreaming of or hoping for. So JC says, I wish Taylor's had more bass. I would love a few of them if they did. I'm with you. They definitely are not made to be, like, they're not a Martin. They're not trying to be Martin. They're not trying to be a Gibson. They're doing their own thing. And they're not necessarily, anyway, nope, I won't let my brain go down that way. But I think with this one, it also comes down to, like, how you play the guitar, what strings you use, and what pick you use. You can elicit a lot more bass out of a guitar like that for sure. So with the Taylor, it has nickel bronze strings on it, and as they die, those are still pretty new, but as they die, that guitar really fills out and sounds quite thumpy and wonderful. So another guitar that I was able to play for months, and I love this guitar, and I cannot afford it right now, is the brand new made in California Guild D55. This is an awesome guitar. And when I got this guitar, I had a journey with this guitar. I got it right around the time that we were finishing building out the studio. And so, excuse me, I got this guitar. And I played it, and I was like, wow, that's not very loud. And it just threw me off for a while. It's not a loud guitar. It's not a boy, because it looks loud, like, aesthetically, but it doesn't sound giant or boomy. And I restrung it, and then it kind of came to life. And so with that one, it's just a cool guitar, and I miss it a whole lot. And so I think when I get $3,000 extra sitting around, I'll buy one of these. And so I've done a bunch of work for Guild, and they've never paid me for anything. They let me borrow a guitar for a while. They've let me borrow 3 guitars for a while. They've never paid me for anything, and they also haven't given me any guitars. Now I do have a guitar that I'll talk about here in a little bit that is coming to me. I bought the guitar at artist pricing, but the shift is that they're giving me a case. So I'm getting a $200 case. But other than that, Gibson or Guild has never paid me. But I just love them. I love their brand, and I think that they're doing really good work to capture the feel and the vibe of old Guilds, but to bring kind of new life and new excitement to them. So the D55, that's a guitar that I would own in a heartbeat. And I'm not a rosewood guy, but this guitar is just really cool. It's heavy. It's big. It's not that loud. It has a long scale. It's 25 and 5/8. So it has this really jazz feel to it. Like, you don't feel like, I feel like when you hit it, You don't feel the strings go crazy like a J45 or a shorter scale thing. They're like piano wires. They just feel more tense, and it's really cool and has a lot of bloom. Anyway, it's a very cool guitar. Another guitar I got to spend time with was I tracked down the original Husson Dalton that I bought. The first Husson Dalton, the one that I lost so much money on. So it's right here. I paid $4,600 for it. I was like 20, 21, and then I sold it right after I got married when I was 24, and I sold it for $2,700, I think. Maybe $2,600. I don't remember the details. It's only one of 2 guitars I've ever lost money on, and boy, did I lose money on this guitar. But I got this guitar, and it is just amazing. And it has this beautiful rosewood back and sides. It's a red spruce top, large sound hole, maple binding, ebony bridge, ebony fingerboard. I've talked about this guitar a bunch, and it's bonkers. And it was really cool. I got to play it and compare it to my Husson Dalton TDM, which those are actually built right around the same time. The TDM is absolutely the right guitar for me, and the DRH Custom is just not. And so it's a really interesting guitar. So it was really fun. My old guitar teacher now owns it. So let's see. I'll catch up on some comments. Try the AD27 if you like bass. That's true. The mahogany tops. JC had an Iris DF I had to move. It went to you. Dude, that guitar, you will see that guitar on this list. That guitar is amazing, amazing. I really like that guitar. And I sold it because I'm a maniac. BRI Wood says, I'm a beginner and I got a Tanglewood acoustic. Great for beginners. They are. Those are really good. Those are good. Orangewood are good. I think Guild is the best if you're looking in that like $200 to $300 to $700 or $800 or $1,000. To me, they are the best as far as neck profiles, playability, aesthetic and style, and just features. They're doing it really, really well. There's a lot of competition in there. I'm not a fan of the Ibanez, and I don't see enough Yamaha. I always get pushback of people saying like, "Oh, but the Yamahas are great." I just don't see them. I could not tell you where within 100 miles where a Yamaha dealer is to me. Elliot says the only guitar I got was a Fender JMJ. Is that J Massis? Was JMJ Mustang bass. I love it. Got it on a straight swap with an MIJ 51P bass reissue. P bass. And me and the other guy were happy with the deal. I think that's awesome. I love when that's the hardest part of trades, is getting to where like apples to apples. Like, because nobody wants to add cash to stuff, but it's really hard to ever get like, you have a $450 thing? I have a $450 thing. But it's like, yours is like retail, mine is private party, $450. And it's just so hard to get to where they're even. So Jonathan says he went to a local guitar shop to pick up a Martin HD35 and ended up liking the Martin. Oh, that's cool. The Martin Model America 1. And it was on clearance for $1,000 less than the 35. Dude, that's awesome. The American 1 is great. Those are really cool guitars. Are they 18s, 28s? They're like basically, I forget. But a couple other people told me that they've gotten those and really like them. That's awesome. HD35s are cool. They are the bassiest guitar. They're really hard to record with because they're just so woofy and overbearing. You ate your shirt and pants on that. Yes, it's true. On that Husson Dalton. Jeff has an 84 D35, my third child. That's awesome. I just saw there's a 72 D28 that just popped up for sale around me. Not quite my thing, but it looks amazing. Are there any of the lower end guilds worth purchasing? I think there are. I just bought one. It should be here. It was supposed to be here today, but it got delayed from FedEx and won't be here until Monday. But it's the BT258, which is the baritone 8-string. So I'm going to buy that. I'm going to sell my Walden. I have a Walden B1E baritone that is also really cool, but there's just something so funky and cool about what is it, the D and A strings being doubled on the 8 string. That's very cool. But I think the the Matador, the 240, the 140 from Guild, all of those are really cool. The what is it? They have a bunch of dreadnoughts. The 240? No, that's not a dreadnought. 220? Yeah, it's the 220 and the 120. Maybe I'm making that up. I don't know. It's hard to keep track of, but there are a couple dreadnoughts that are really good. And yeah, I don't know who makes those, but I have a hunch that they're made by the same factory that's making Eastman. But anyway. Yeah, see, I think the Yamaha FS is going to be my next, but one site says the string spacing is closer to the FS than the FG. Yeah, I just don't know enough about Yamahas. Jeff says, how are the Christmas carols coming? They're going great. We sang some last night. We had like our small group Christmas party, and we sang Silent Night. It was super fun. And actually, because we live in like a Mennonite community, so a lot of people grew up in the Mennonite world, and Mennonites can freaking sing. And they all know 4-part harmonies. So as long as you can carry the pitch, they will make the room just fill up with angelic singing. What was this? It's like a D18, but it's an Addy top and Sycamore back inside. Oh my gosh, that's cool. Can you send me pictures of that? Old Jonathan. Which Telecaster pickups should I get for around $100? If you are used pickups are a freaking gamble. If you can find Seymour Duncan Antiquities, but that's going to be a challenge. The Tex-Mex are cool. I don't know. I'm out of that game a little bit. Richard says, love the content. Thanks, buddy. Daniel got the bolt strap. Somebody else got the other strap. There's one strap left. Because I'm keeping one of them. I'm going to keep the 90s soda can one. But this strap right here can be yours basically for free. If you donate at least $10 to a charity and then send me your receipt to info@jeremysheppard.com, I will send you this for free. So this is one of the, what do they call this? This is the fast up and down strap. That's not what they call it. How to adjust. But it basically goes up and down really quickly. And it's just super easy to use. So if you want a guitar strap that can kind of go up and down pretty easily and quickly. Other than that, it's kind of this burnt orange. I grew up saying orange, but I've been bullied out of it. But and then good rawhide. So if you have a guitar that's neck heavy, having one that grabs your shirt a little more is pretty great. So anyway, this is the last strap that's left. And then over here on this one, have you guys seen? I have a prototype of the new Rhett Shull Signature Telecaster from Fender. He loves these. These are his favorite. And so this is the Player Acoustasonic Tele, but I'm just going to keep the soda can or the soda cup strap. I just think that this is funny and cool. And it works well on a white guitar that kind of that just looks awesome to me. So why not? But anyway, if you want that orange strap, donate to a charity that makes the world a better and more musical place. And send me your stuff. Here's a question from Martin. Hey Jeremy, waiting on a rosewood neck American Pro Fire Mist Gold. Yes. Can't wait. Other topic. I have a Gibson Nighthawk Custom Floyd, 3 pickups, ebony board. Any idea how much those go for these days? Sheesh, what a weird guitar. The Nighthawks are so cool. Dude, that's a hard one. That's a really hard guitar to just kind of guess at the... I don't know. I'd have to do some homework and poke around. Because there's so much about that's strange. Or just not standard. The Floyd, the 3 pickups. Yeah, I don't know. That's a cool guitar. That's ridiculous. Is the paper cup strap leather too? No, it's not. It's like nylon. But the ends are leather. I think those are like $20, $19.99. There should be links in the description down below for those if you want them. And they come real quick, like day or two. It's pretty clever just where Sweetwater set themselves up. Like they're in such a central part of the world that they can just kind of get stuff to you quickly. So other guitars that blew my mind this year, I could not make it through. Actually, there are a couple I want to do before. So I got to see my house in Dalton. Got to meet Gallagher Guitars, which there's a bunch of exciting stuff coming from Gallagher Guitars. I'm so excited for them. They're a really cool brand. I haven't been able to feature them as much on the channel so far as I wanted to, but that will change soon. And Gallagher Guitars are so cool. There's this whole move of resurrecting and like preserving important brands. And so if you don't know, Gallagher was basically the first boutique acoustic guitar. And they're amazing. David, who is the owner now, David Mathis, he's just a really wonderful like friend and guitar player, and he's just the right person to kind of steer that company into a really great and bright future. So I got to go there in July of this year. It was so stinking hot when I was there. It's like 101 degrees. And but anyways, very cool. And you'll get to see some more Gallagher guitars from them soon. Another one was I bought my Martin D41 this year. And after so much contemplating and debating and hemming and hawing and wondering what I should do with it, I did sell it. I just didn't like the way this guitar sounded. It looks beautiful and amazing, but I just can't justify having a guitar that I actively do not like the sound of. And I found myself avoiding playing it because I just didn't like the way it sounded. It was bassy and thumpy and overbearing and kind of muddy. And so that's just not I'm a mahogany guy from way back. So anyway, I sold it. I'm not going to say how much I sold it for. People get grumpy. Avian Guitars. That's another fun brand I've worked with this year. Now, Avian Guitars are boutique guitars. They're made in China. They're really cool designs. Now, I will say some are really cool and some are okay. So I have one that's, this one is the Dove. This guitar sounds amazing. This one went to Samuel. He's in here sometimes. I didn't see him today. But Samuel got this guitar, and it's like a perfect kind of finger style. It's a 00 size or an L00 size. This is a cool guitar, and it sounds really good. But it's not. It still feels like a factory-made guitar. Like they don't feel like a boutique guitar. And so anyway, Avian guitars were really fun to kind of get to know this year. Another guitar that I had just for a little bit was this Martin D18 VS. So the V is the vintage series, S stands for slot headstock. So this is a 12 fret. Your computer's not messed up. It's I didn't mess up putting this picture. I had to check because it just looks so goofy and stretched out. But this guitar was just a monster. Big V neck, very cool guitar. So Norman Blake. It is impossible to play this guitar and not just play John Prine, old folky stuff. It's just cool and great. But at the same time, it's an 18 style. I can't keep it if I have my House in Dalton TDM. They're just too similar. So I got this guitar for $1,600. I sold this guitar for $2,250. So that was a good profit, and it was a very cool guitar. It went to a great home. And yeah, another guitar brand I got to work with this year. Look at this, fancy. That I got to work with this year is Boucher Guitars. They're amazing. These guys have restored my hope in rosewood dreads. Like this one over there is just, I cannot get over how great that guitar is. It has so much gas in the tank, but it also it's like in a car that has a turbo. Like what sucks is when you have a car that has so much turbo lag where you're like, well, it's kind of boring and slow, and all of a sudden it like tears off when you hit 5,000 RPMs. This is kind of like a car with a turbo that the turbo kicks in at 1,800 or 2,000 RPMs and gives you usable power all the way up to redline. And so with this Dreadnought, it was just so cool to see and so cool to once again have my heart kind of stirred by a rosewood guitar, because it just hasn't happened in a while. But I do think, as much as I loved this one, if I could have my pick, I would take this one for sure. This is the the Heritage Goose. I think this is a 52, and this has the Masters pack, and so it's gold hardware. I loved this guitar. So I think I'm starting to save some money for a couple guitars next year, and this is one that I really, really, really want to own. A Boucher. Daniel says, "Hey Jeremy, how do you feel about ES5s or 350Ts? Ever played one? Impressions? They're awesome. They're giant. They're very jazzy, very bluesy. If you play loud, they're not great because they feed back pretty hard. Yeah, because his is a 275. What's his Ted Nugent? Ted Nugent plays. Ted Nugent plays a 275. That's a full hollow. Anyway, they're very cool. You can't play them very loud. Which one did you take? What can go wrong when buying a used guitar pickup? If you're just getting a pickup itself, the coil can be open. And so, like, there could be a break in the cable. Or one of the things that could happen, potentially, is that, like, if there's a cover on it, and I've seen this one time. There was a cover on it, and they said it was one pickup, and we took the cover off, and it was not that pickup. I have to remember, this is one that Evan Dowie made. This is a Rude pickup that he made, because I replaced it. Oh, my Rude's not out here. Whoops. Is it? No, it's not. It's in the house. Okay, it's in the basement over there. But my Rude Revelator, I swapped out one of the pickups. That's where this came from. But, so the pickup could just not work. And so you'd need to test it. It's pretty easy to test. Like, you could just take this and hold, like, the shield against the cylinder of a guitar cable, the sleeve, and then you could just touch the tip. Just the tip. To the end of the guitar cable. And then plug that into an amp and then tap it with a screwdriver or something metal. And you would see if the pickup at least works. That's probably the biggest one, is just that it doesn't work. Because if the coils are broken, if it's been mishandled and broken, then you just have to pay to get it rewound, which basically any cost savings you have from buying a new one. Any cost savings you'd have from buying a new one would be gone when you spend like that $50 or whatever to get it rewound. Ladybirds? No, Birdland. Birdlands are cool, but they're like a 23.5-inch scale length? They're a super short scale length. So the string tension is really wonky and weird. And they're just insane expensive. They're like $6,500. But cool, yeah, so Boucher guitars were amazing. We talked about that one. And then the other one, we can't get through this time without talking about this guitar, which is my Pageant Model 1. I love this guitar. So the Pageant Model 1 is made by Ben Paget in Monterey, Virginia. He worked and lived in Michigan and taught at the Gallup School for, I think, 10 years. He's an amazing guitar builder. I think that he will be he is a force to be reckoned with as far as just the quality of guitars he makes and the convictions he has. Like, that's the whole thing, is like, Ben has become a dear friend that I text multiple days a week, mostly just dumb gifs and memes. But he's just an amazing guy, and he's making killer guitars. So I love this guitar. It's Engelmann spruce. No, it's a Sitka spruce top, Honduran mahogany back and sides, ebony bridge, ebony fingerboard, mahogany neck. It's just so cool, and it's very light. And let me turn this off. So yeah. The way he did his logo there, will that focus? There it is. So he inlaid all of that. So all of the blue is maple, all of the orange is cocobolo, and then every little black line that you see in there, all of the black lines are ebony that he cut himself. Same thing, it matches, there's 3 places that happens. So it's in the headstock, it's here on the 12th fret, the body meets at the 13th fret, which is a little crazy if you're used to. This guitar's out of tune. But And then the rosette matches as well. This guitar is incredibly cool. There's a really cool clip. We're going to do a follow-up on me kind of living with this guitar because I've had it for like 7 months now. But with this guitar, when it was just a box, I held it and I held the back like this. And I looked at it and I was like, I want to own this guitar. Can I own this? And he said, sure, when it's done, I'll let you know. And I played it and immediately, it came home with me that day. I didn't put a picture in here. But, yeah, we also put a K&K Pure Mini in this last summer. And so this guitar is just killer. And I think that he is a guitar builder that is going to be impossible to own his guitars in a couple years. So that's where I had to scramble and come up with money for me to own this. And I've so rarely asked my family to sacrifice anything for me to continue getting to do this. And I just said, like, hey, can I please take a couple months, and just put this in the budget for the guitar account. And so this one it's officially 100% mine. I own this guitar. And I'm so excited. And Ben is an amazing builder. We're still trying to sell the twin to this guitar. So there's one that has cocobolo on the back and sides instead of mahogany. And it's just an incredibly robust and cool guitar. What are these comments in here? Rasmus is here. Wait, does he? Does Nugent play at Birdland? I thought he played at 275. Somebody Google that. Is that a nylon string? This is not a nylon string. This is a steel string. They're all nylon, or they're all steel. Tom says, anyone here using studio monitors? I have a recommendation for you. So part of that studio tour that I filmed and will go out in the next couple days, I talk about, I'll turn the camera. So right over there are the Lone Pine, the Cali. So these are Cali audio. They are, hang on, there we go. So those are the Cali audio. And they're the Lone Pine 10s, LP10, I think that is their number. They're not that expensive. They're like 150, I don't know. They're not that expensive. I just reviewed them. They've worked great for me. You can definitely find something that's probably a little smaller, but these like sound accurate and they sound really crispy and good. So anyway, so the twin of the Paget is $39.95. We've brought the price down from $5. So like, I have not been able to find another American luthier, American-built Cocobolo back and side, spruce top, ebony bridge, ebony fingerboard, that kind of guitar for anywhere under like $7,000. And so, yeah. Oh, this is a good question. Compare the Paget with your Waterloo. They are awesome and entirely different guitars. Those two are a pairing that I could like bring with me to the studio and I could cover every sound I want to cover. So the Waterloo is like thick and warm and boomy and sounds old and sounds jangly. It's bluesy. And then the Paget is like bright and articulate and dynamic and can be bluegrassy and can be really driven. And it can sound like a dreadnought, but it's still smaller and more fingerstyle. Between the two of those, they have the same kind of pickup, which I really like. They both have K&K Pure Minis. And so I can use them. I've played a couple shows where I bring both of those guitars and play them kind of side by side. Charlie says, love your channel. Thanks, buddy. I'm glad you're here. How much is the twin? $39.95. Agree with Matt. Yes. That'd be a fun idea. We got to get some ducks in a row to make that happen. Jeremy, am I doing a show next Friday? I'm not, because it's Christmas Eve. I might, so I'll be in Nashville most of next week. Depending on what I get into, I may do a live show next week. What do you guys think? Would you do a live show on like Thursday, on Christmas Adam? Would that be something you'd be into? Jansen says, yeah, the callings I have with Madagascar Rosewood is hard to price. Also with the cracks. What do you think? Sheesh, this is such a hard question. I don't know. I wouldn't want to say it publicly because people tend to take what I say to the bank on those things. But, yeah. I don't know. I'll keep evading answering that question, Jason. What else? I got to play an amazing Gibson J45. This is one of the first vintage guitars I ever sold. Sold it to an old family friend, and he just turned 80. And he asked me to kind of take care of it and look at it and get it restrung and set up. And so I got to have this guitar for a couple weeks. This one, like, this is the archetypal, this is the J45 that people just love and adore. It's fun and it's comfortable. And it's woofy, and it's jangly. Like, you feel the strings move a lot when you play. And it's just pretty seamless. You don't think about it. I think for most people, this is the kind of guitar that would just really speak to them and help them make a bunch of music and make a bunch of friends. Another super cool guitar, and this is a guitar that I was so disappointed when I bought it, because I bought it basically to make a video, which the video is like, is this a pop star money grab? Which the answer is kind of. It's at best tone deaf. But anyway, the Sheeran, I've played this guitar the last couple days because most of my guitars were filming some stuff for the end of the year. So most of my personal guitars are all out here in the studio. And so when I'm in the house, like singing and playing, you know, with my kids and all that, the Sheeran. And so this is a cool guitar. I think what hit me is that it still feels very tight, but it's a very new guitar, so it hasn't like opened up at all yet, and so it still sounds really doesn't have much bass. But what I found with this guitar is that I think if I would put some darker strings on it, that would give it a fighting chance. It's also incredibly comfortable to play, and it looks cool. Cedar is such a cool top on guitars. So here's a guitar. This is a guitar that I was talking about. I have this Guild BT258E is coming. It was supposed to be here today, and I'm pretty sad. Won't be here until Monday, and then we leave on Tuesday. And I don't think that guitar's so big. I don't think I can bring it with me. So I'll just play it for the one day and then bring it back. But this is the Guild BT258. So it's a baritone. It's a 27-inch scale length. It is tuned B to B, and then the A and the D strings have octave strings that are an octave up. So it's like a 12 string on those two strings. And it's just bonkers. It's like endlessly inspiring and just sounds awesome. Another guitar that I got back a couple months ago that I thought was gone was my the Sync or Cypress Telecaster. This is a guitar. Can I point to it? Nope, this way. This is a guitar that I built right before we moved from Louisiana. I sold it to a friend actually here in Virginia. I built this guitar out of pieces and parts that came from a collection that I was in charge of selling. And I just think this is awesome. So this one, there's still a bunch of things I want to tweak on this. Many things I want to change on this guitar. But the essentials of it are awesome. The cypress body with the maple back and sides. No, what is it? I don't know what it is. It's kind of a mystery light colored wood on the back and sides. Poplar, maybe? I don't know for sure. But it's this beautiful piece of cypress on the top. And I just love this guitar. It's got a cool belly cut. Has a giant C-shaped. It's like a weird. I mean, just look how thick that neck is. It's a real one. And so I think I might want to change the neck on this guitar if I can get. I like the shape of it, but there are a couple problems with this. But anyway, I'm very excited that this guitar is back in my life because I thought it was gone forever. And yeah. Tyler's here. Hey, buddy. Mr. Heron himself. Alden's here. Jeff says, what's the difference between a J55 and a J160? Oh, boy. That's a good question. I don't know off the top of my head. I don't know. Have I tried a Rick Kelly guitar? I have not. Anthony Baez. As a learner for 2 years, soaking it all up like a sponge. Awesome. Sync or Cypress Telly looks like a Telly you're working on. Curly maple top and neck with cherry back and sides and ebony fingerboard. That sounds awesome. Yeah. This is, I mean, Sinker Cypress is really amazing. And so this guitar feels really important as someone that has so many ties to Louisiana and to wood like this. I just want to, when I sold this one, I didn't want to, but I needed money to take care of my family because our kids were like 2 and 3, and I had just left a job and we're moving across the country, and I just needed money to like buy a trailer and pay people to move us and all that stuff. So that's the goal, is to not be in that spot again, to like just gain momentum to where we get to just like slowly like work hard the whole time, but add stuff, add goodness to our life along the way, and to not be in the spot where it's like, oh, I have to sell everything. And one guitar, there are two more guitars I have to show you slides, and then there's one more. Let's just talk about this one. Here's the question. Here's what you really came for. What is the worst guitar I got this year? And without any doubt, there is no doubt in my mind, this is the absolute worst guitar that I got this year. This is a glary thin line Telecaster, just a hot turd, just an awful guitar. I'll play it a little bit. And let's see. I didn't set this up, so you're just going to hear it through the mic here in the room. Let me tune real quick. I feel like I've finally run off the like annoying brands that are like, we would like to collaborate with you. We would like to send you guitars. All right, here it is. Here's the thing. I'm telling you, it is in tune. Anyway, the glary is still awful and useless and just not a good guitar. And I've thought about putting a new neck on it, but by the time I put a new neck on it, then I have to put new pickups in it, then I have to do all kinds of stuff to it. So it's just worthless. That's true for the worst guitar that you keep giving it. I know. I feel bad. I don't want to give it away. I also don't like talking. Anyway, I get it. Cracking t-shirt, by the way. Thanks, man. Yeah, my friend Jeff, one of my friends from high school and my roommates in college, designed this. Harrisonburg is amazing for James Madison University is here, and their biggest major, maybe not anymore, one of their biggest majors is the School of Media Arts and Design. So they're amazing, like everywhere you look around town, every barista at a coffee shop has, a bachelor's degree in graphic design, so they can make amazing, beautiful things. So anyway, but two guitars that blew my mind this year, and I'm so glad that I got to play them and know about them. One is the Live Edge Walnut OM from Showalter Guitars. This guitar is really cool. And Showalter guitars, they're super unique. They sound very different. But they're definitely worth checking out, and a bunch of people have bought them. And I should say, full disclosure, like we have a commission percentage worked out. Like for each guitar that sells, I get a percent. But I haven't been that involved in that process. Like they just kind of reach out to Steve and say, "Hey, I watched a video and tell me about these guitars." And so it's been really great to work with him, and I know that people are super happy. I still am kind of dreaming of one of those Osage Orange, or maybe a Sycamore guitar from him. I think that would be really cool. What I found is that the guitars, other than the Walnut had a ton of bass in the wind. The others seem to be a little more kind of tenor sounding in their voice. But anyway. Okay, so this is the last one, and then we'll just do some Q&A for a couple minutes. my favorite of favorite guitars that I owned this year, and the guitar I think is the absolute best value if you can find them used, but you probably can't because they're very hard to find used, is the Iris Guitars DF. I think that if you like Gibson guitars, if you like old guitars, if you want a Waterloo and can't afford it, the Iris is just bonkers. I can't get my head around how, like, I suspected that was going to be a really fun guitar, and I got it, and I could not stop playing it. It is better than any Gibson J45 in the last 25 years. It's just cool, and it's super light, and it's really well built, and I love everything about it. I love the design. I love the Art Deco headstock. Yeah, what do you guys think about that? For me, this is just the cool. Why can't I point that way? This is just so stinking cool. I just can't get over it. So, all right, with that, I'll come back over here to the comments. Kelsey says, checking in late from Groves, Texas. Hey, buddy, glad you're here. Yeah, Richard says, I'm doing exactly that. New pickups, new neck, new pickups, new everything. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. $120 is fine to pay for a body. Everything else is junk. Maybe the pick guard is okay, but I'm with you. So, yeah. Yo! Oh, nice sound hole. Thank you. No mention of a 28. Or was that last year? That was last year. That was July of 2020 and then November of 2020. So those are just past. Yeah, so a year ago this week, I guess a year ago next week, I was buying the D41 on Christmas Eve. Yeah, bought that one Christmas Eve with a check. Because no banks were open, and the guy didn't want to use PayPal. But yeah, donate to a young player? I wouldn't. That's the thing. The Glary's too bad of a guitar. It would be way more dangerous to, like, if you give it to a kid the way it is now, it would frustrate them and scare them off, and like, so that's where I'm like, it's just not worth it. Richard, this is a great question. How many Keep Forever guitars do you own? I'm getting to where I have more. My Waterloo is a Keep Forever. Like, I just adore that guitar. And that could change. All of this is subject to change. But I think I'm getting to where I've got 2 or 3 that are in that category. For me, it's my Waterloo because it just sounds unbelievably good. My Husson Dalton, the TDM, the Pageant Model 1, and then my pink Paisley Telly. Oh boy, sorry, I kicked the microphone. My pink Paisley Telly. This is my favorite electric guitar that I own. Yeah, I mean, I probably have 5 or 6 all in. So not a ton, but I think I'm going to add to that this year. I think I'll get to where I'll probably have 10 or 12 that are just forever keeper guitars. What's going to be really interesting for me is after that, when I get to, once I get to that point and I start buying guitars for other people, that's what I want to do. I want to shift gears. Like my channel, by the end of next year, I think I'll own everything that I want to own. And after that, I'm just going to start buying and selling for other people. And hopefully we can get to where I've got some ideas. Like if I could get a bunch of patrons or get someone that's just a wealthy benefactor that just says like, hey, here's 10 grand, go buy as many cool guitars for as many people as you can. Or if we could find cool, rad old guitars that are in families of players, but they need to sell them for the money. If we can just buy them and let them keep the guitars, that's a goal. So anyway, one thing I didn't really talk about, I turned down a TV show this year, which sounds probably crazy. But there was an opportunity to do a TV show in the vein of American Pickers, but it involved too much travel, not enough money, and kind of giving up some of my autonomy as my own person and my own brand. And so it just wasn't the right fit for them. But anyway, do I give luthier lessons? I do not, but Ben Paget is about to launch a guitar teaching course, and I'm going to build a guitar. He's going to teach me and lead me through the process of building a guitar, which that would be amazing. So yeah, look for that kind of in the spring. We were talking about doing that. I put away my maple and ebony neck guitars. Use only rosewood neck guitars for now. They weather the humidity issues better. That's interesting. That's a good idea. Give the glary to one of those graphic artists to use as decoration somewhere. That's not a bad idea. Olympia Washington, Showalter guitar, great stocking stuffer. Wouldn't use, but I wouldn't refuse an artist. Both are awesome. Like, yeah. Iris guitars, you can tell, like, they are freaking world-class boutique builders that are trying to make, you know, guitars for actual musicians. One thing that's interesting is people always say, I mean, they're still $3,000. So people always say, like, well, it's just, you know, no real musician can afford like a Martin D28 or one of those. But if you look at, like, we know that lots of players had D28s, D18s in the 50s and 60s. Like our parents, that kind of age, or some of our parents. Some of you guys might be in that same, like, you're in your 60s now. But, I mean, if you look at, like, I mean, Raymond, that D28 that I bought, he paid $280, I think it was. Paid $280 in 1967, which you're like, wow, that's amazing, that's so affordable. But then if you correct that for inflation, like how much were dollars worth then to how much are dollars worth now, and you compare it, well, that puts a new D28 at $32.99 or something, which they're $28.99, or maybe they just went up in price. But, I mean, you're at a place where, like, D28s are cheaper now than they were then, proportionally. So, anyway. Rasmus. So, hear me out. I'm looking for a 30s, maybe early 40s, 0017, but severely broken. Think cracked sides, loose braces, everything. Help me. I'll keep an eye out. You find them every now and then for not a ton of money. And if we can find it here in the States, I'll figure out a way to get it to you in yon Netherlands. So, cool. All right, guys. Well, any other questions? We got maybe 4 minutes of questions, and then we're going to wrap up. I would say, yeah, this is probably the last live show of the year because, well, we got Christmas Eve next Friday and then New Year's Eve the Friday after. So we'll probably do something. But I'm going to have other videos coming out on the channel. We have a studio tour to kind of walk you through everything that's going on. And we actually just missed this microphone. Craig, if you're in here, thanks. This is awesome. This is the Aston Origin. I don't want to move it. Here it is. It looks awesome. And it sounds killer. Yesterday, I got it yesterday, and I brought it in. And I was like, I just want to hear how this thing sounds. I ended up like recording kind of a demo of a song that I've been kind of teasing for the last couple of years, and it just sounds awesome. And so anyway, studio tour video coming up. So Richard says, what are you wanting to add to the keepers? What do you feel like you're missing? It's so hard. It's like my personality type. So if you know like the Enneagram world, I'm an Enneagram 2, which is why I talk about music and friendship. Like I view the world through relationships, and I find myself wanting to take care of people, wanting to help people, wanting to teach people, but I'm really bad at seeing what I actually need or want. Guitars I feel like I'm missing that I would just die to own would be either a vintage Gibson Country Western from like 55 to 58. Natural top, double bound top and back, trapezoid, split trapezoid inlays, maple or mahogany back and sides, round shoulder. That's a guitar that I just adore. I just love the way they sound. I love the way they look. I would also be really stoked to get that same kind of spec, or a Southern Jumbo. To get either one of those, that style of guitar. But I think like from Gallagher, that would be a dream to have one of those. And then there are a couple electric guitars. I don't do as much electric guitar, and I think I'm finally coming to terms with. I've resisted, and I felt resentment towards like getting pigeonholed, but like everything I've done in electric guitars in the last couple months has just not done that well. And maybe that's just because there's way more YouTube channels about electric guitars. But I also I just need to be at peace with the fact that I love electric guitars and I will lose sleep over acoustic guitars. There's just a difference. Like I love electric guitars, but for acoustic guitars, they are the thing that I care so much about. I care about who's building them. I care about who's buying them. I care about who's selling them. I care about what happens to people when they own them or when little kids get to be around that kind of guitar. So I think I just need to own up to that. And that there's another question coming up here. But so what am I missing? I would love to get, so I now have killer Strat and killer Tele tones. I think the two kinds of guitars that I'm really missing, and they could be consolidated into one. I think I want to get a Frank Brothers, an arcade, with P90s, and I'll talk more about that because I'm going to relaunch a thing in next year that we haven't done yet. But yeah, that's the main one. How is the high end on the Iris? It's very crispy and great. It's a very good EQ. A little bit of mid push, but it's very, very clear. There's a lot of thickness to the single notes on the treble-y stuff too. To me, I'm like, that's number one. That's the guitar that it's another one. I wish I could have kept it. I wish I would have kept it, but I didn't because it's so similar to my Haas and Dalton. And that I have that archetype of guitar a lot. So Stacy, heyo. Sadie says, why are the old guitars worth more than the new ones? Nostalgia, mostly. Nostalgia is the most expensive thing on the market. You've seen an artist that played it, or your friend had one in high school, or you had one in high school, your dad had one, and so you are assigning all kinds of value to it that are not just what it is. It's what it means, what it symbolizes, what it represents. So they represent days gone by. They represent missed opportunities or whatever. So that's why, in my opinion, why they're so expensive. I have a hunch that this camera battery is going to die any second. What is your name? What is your quest? Here's my question. What are you looking forward to next year? There are a couple things I want to do next year that we haven't been able to do yet, and I feel like I'm finally able to do. I'm going to get to travel a lot more just because the world is more open, and we're making enough money that I can, like for a while, it's like just Scrappy was turned up to 10. And so now I get to take a step back and aim and calculate and move towards some stuff. So the things for next year that I'm going to do for sure is I'm going to do a lot more collaborations. I'm going to get out and travel and see a lot more people. I'm going to see a lot more builders. I'm planning on launching a podcast to talk about more of the longer form things in guitar culture, because I love these videos, but I need to find someone to do them with. Banter is better than monologues, and I find myself doing a lot of monologues these days. Other things we're going to do is I'm going to relaunch the Dream Guitar Challenge. I'm going to start with $500. We're going to pick a charity, us together, and we're going to say $500. I can only use that money, and I will buy and sell that, giving 10% of all of my profits to a nonprofit along the way, and I will end up with a dream guitar. So I'm hoping to wind up with the Frank Brothers. That's going to be like a $4,200 guitar. So that's a pretty substantial goal to do. I would basically have to increase my money 10 times to cover taxes and all that stuff, plus the 10% we're going to give away each time. But yeah, so that's the other one. We also have a couple other campaigns kind of planned. I'm not going to talk about those yet, but we have a couple ideas. I'm also really going to push Write Guitars Faster, because I think it's the best solution out there for people that are asking the questions that we are asking. Like, is this guitar right for me? How do I sell it? Where do I sell things? How do I get my money back out of it? Which guitar is right for me? I'm gonna keep pushing that. I'm gonna try and start doing more meetups at guitar shops. And there's some other stuff. There are some strategic partnerships that are kicking off, where it's companies that I will be getting some money from in exchange for helping with their marketing, helping with their messaging, promoting their products, talking about their brands. But I am not selling out. But I am taking what I'm doing to the next level, which already, like from where I was a year ago to now, a year ago I was in my basement forced to only make videos when I could get my kids to go on a walk during, COVID time. Now I've got a studio where I have a lot more autonomy and a lot more freedom to kind of be loud when I need to be loud and actually shoot and edit things the way that I want to rather than just as fast as I can. And so there's so much coming. And I mean, y'all, like, you're my tribe. And like, none of this would happen without you. And so I'm incredibly thankful for that. I do. Daniel has a good memory. We talked about this when we went to the Philly guitar show. My other dream guitar would be a Martin D45, or not, maybe not a Martin, but a Gene Autry style, kind of a country dreadnought 12 fret slot headstock with my name inlaid on the fingerboard. Jeremy Sheppard. It's very vain, which is why I haven't really aimed towards it, but I just think, like, I don't know, it's just cool. I like it. I like that vibe. I love just the old kind of Western style. And yeah. Martin. So 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s guilds are bonkers and really cool. They are, and they're pretty affordable until the alt rock crowd hits retirement age. And then they're going to shoot up. Day Armands are going to shoot up in value. They already are starting to. But I'm telling you, all of that like funky early 90s, watch movies from the early 2000s, and you will see the guitars that are about to start shooting up in value. Last question. Have I ever built a guitar or collaborated on one? I built a bunch of guitars. I built a bunch of electric guitars, mostly Tellys. That was a guitar that's pretty easy. Most people can make those if you're relatively handy. I've never made an acoustic guitar. I'm going to make one with Ben Paget in the next couple months. I'm going to make an L00. So maybe that I mean, that'd be weird for me to sell that one. But I'm running out of space. Anyway, yeah. Oh, thanks, buddy. Hey, you started a channel, right? Oh, boy. I knew it. I knew it was going to happen. Hang on. Don't freak out. I'm still here. Oh, boy. It's coming. We're okay. Don't freak out. And we're back. There we go. I haven't in a long time. Actually, I've never been there. I don't know why. I've never been to I've never been to Lansing, and I've never been to Elderly. It's a goal. Daniel says, thankful we're friends. Merry Christmas, Jeremy, and happy, blessed, and safe New Year. Thanks. You too. Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy New Year. I'm working on it. I'm working on a bunch of things. I want to start working. Yes, all of this is coming. And if you have connections to these nonprofits, if you have ideas for it, I welcome all of it. We've been in just the mode of like, all right, I feel like I'm doing a thing that the world needs. And I feel like I'm doing a thing that gives me deep satisfaction as far as like my work, making the world a better place, helping people grow and discover themselves. And it's been like 3 years of not making enough money doing it. And so we're at the very tail end of like, I think we're going. And so what I need is more people to buy the course. That's the big one. Yeah. So every time your battery dies, it reminds me of a dad in the in the Christmas story when the dad goes nuts when the furnace acts up. That's funny. There you go. Daniel says, sell the Pageant L00 to me. I have a Gibson one to trade plus cash. Hey, there we go. Awesome. Cool. Well, I think we'll call it there. This has been an amazing time. And that's my year, and it was fun hearing about y'all's years. Y'all's years? And anyway, this is so good. Sonia, what did Sonia say? Oh, thank you. You and your family have a joyful, healthy, and blessed Christmas. We will. We're going to be in Nashville. We're going to be with a bunch of family. We've got a handful of nieces and nephews that this will be their first Christmas, or maybe the first Christmas they remember. My kids are a little older, and they're just like filled with Christmas joy. We're going to get to be all together, which hasn't happened in a little while. And, man, it's good. I'm going to take some time pretty slow. I'll film stuff while I'm gone, but I don't think I'll be as involved. But anyway. Right, Elliot. You've earned it today, buddy. We are going to give away one. I'm glad you reminded me. I totally almost forgot. So I guess what's the fairest way to do this? We're going to give away one of the courses, and we'll do it trivia style. How should we give it away? Man, I'm glad you said that. Daniel says, how about forming one or making a benefit company to do that? It's true, yeah. I've worked in the nonprofit world before, and it's a lot. It takes a lot of energy and effort and belief. And, yeah. So I don't know if starting another nonprofit would be. I don't know if I have another one in me. Do you have any thoughts on the Martin D18GE? The Golden Arrows are great. They're wonderful guitars. They're kind of sleepers. They don't sell for too much money. If you can get them under $3,000, you're doing great, because they're very similar to an Authentic. Okay, let's do a giveaway, and then we'll end the show. So let me think. I'm going to click over here and think of a trivia question. I have to get close and look at them so you can't see. Okay, here's the trivia question. If you get this trivia question right, I will give you a free admission to the course. That's $147 value. You get to go through the course for free. And this is all because of Jansen. Jansen, who is in here, where is he? I'll find his last comment. Jansen, where are you? Jansen Philip Run. There he is. Flies. So Jansen has donated one person to go to the course, and this is amazing. He bought a course and said, hey, send it to somebody else. So the trivia question is, I ordered a guitar from Guild. What is that guitar? What's unique about that guitar? What is that guitar? It's not here yet. Which guitar did I order? Got delayed. Supposed to be here today. Won't be here until Monday. I've talked about it a couple times. But what is the guitar? And when you get that, you get the question for free, or you get the course for free. David Belcher gets it. David, it's the B258 8-string. It is. You got it, man. That's great. Yes. So, David, can you send me an email to info@jeremysheppard.com, and I will send you a login to the course. But you have to email me. So David Belcher, I'll write down your name, but all it shows me is just like your name and your picture. So send me an email. Elliot, he just beat you out. I'm sorry. But David Belcher, you did it. You sending me an email, David? Oh, I made the mistake of looking at my phone. There's so many things happening. Yes, David. All right, David. You have to send me an email, info, I-N-F-O, at Jeremy, JeremySheppard.com. If that doesn't work, you can also send me. You can just go to the website and fill out a form. But send me your info, and I will send you one course for free. Thank you, Jansen. And also thank you to my patrons. Thank you to Craig for the microphone. Thank you to Tom for all of your support, letting me borrow guitars. Just thank you to everyone that is involved in this. You guys are wonderful. Hope you have a wonderful, wonderful Christmas. And go fill the world with music and friendship. Music, friendship with your family. Play guitar, play Christmas music. And yeah, have a good week. 2-3 weeks. It'll be a while. So anyway, bye everybody. See you later.